Welcome back to Homeopathy at Home with Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hey Bree, good to see you.
Super good to be here. We're recording right before Christmas, so this feels exciting. Probably our last one before Christmas in your Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Tonight we have Alexandra with us, and I'm really excited. She's taken some of our classes and is here tonight to talk about, probably my favorite topic, pregnancy, birth, all of the things. So we're really excited to have her.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Alexandra.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And so, how old is the baby right now?
She is right here and she is 2 months. She'll be 11 weeks on Thursday. So
Wow.
getting
Yep.
big.
Yeah. And this is your second baby.
It is. Yes. I have a 3.5 at home. Yeah.
Mhm. So I wanted Alex to come on to share her her story on how she did not use homeopathy in the first pregnancy, labor, delivery. If I'm correct, if I'm not right, you can correct me on that. And then she used it with this one, and what a huge difference it was. So you can just be free and tell your story.
Yeah, yeah. So with my first child, I did not use homeopathy and I hated being pregnant. It was the worst. The heartburn, the constipation, the insomnia, that literally if there was a pregnancy symptom, I had it and it was horrible. So, and same with my labor and delivery. I had Addison in a hospital. I started out at home, rocked and rolled there. And then I got to the hospital. Things went a little sideways. Postpartum was hard. It was just a kind of a harder experience than I imagined it would be. I was the person that thought I would pop out a baby and then baby wear and go pick wildflowers in a field 2 days later. That's not the case. So with this one, I wanted to do it a little differently. So I was working with you, Melissa, and we got on your pregnancy plan. And I did, we did the Joette, the cell salts, and then a few other things that were more tailored to me. And it was literally night and day. Like no heartburn, no constipation, no backaches, no nothing. Like honestly, I forgot I was pregnant half the time. The only time I got a little cranky was when I hit 41 weeks. It's like, all right, I'm ready for the baby to come out.
And
Um,
that seems fair.
yeah, right. So she was 41 in a day, just like her sister. Um, you know, after that 40 week, you're ready. And she was summer. So I don't know, Bree, if it was, I'm sure it was like this in Florida, but I don't know if it was because I was pregnant, but it was the hottest summer I ever recall us ever having. I could not leave. So it was a struggle at the end. But honestly, my pregnancy was great. I felt it was night and day. It was what I expected pregnancy to be. And then same kind of thing with my labor. So I don't know if you want me to just kind of jump right in, y'all. I can kind of just go through it. But
Perfect.
my labor, I had like 40 weeks. So back up, I was huge. I gained so much weight, and everybody was like, "You're having this baby early. You're having this baby early." And obviously, I didn't. So at 40 weeks, I started having just like little twinges, nothing more than me to be like, "Ooh, maybe tonight," but like nothing that was painful, nothing that was consistent. So that started like right around 40 weeks. And it happened every night. So every night I would go to bed and I'm like, tonight's the night. She's coming or it's coming. We didn't find out if it was a boy or a girl. We're doing a home birth with this one instead of a hospital birth. So I go to bed every night. And that happened for a week. So towards the end of that, creeping up on 41 weeks, it was starting to get a little bit like, how you doing? Like, don't talk to me. um, but yes, so 41 in a day. And honestly, I woke up that morning and I don't know, I felt the same, just kind of like a little mild cramping, kind of that cramping like you feel like a couple days before you get your period, just like a little bit like, but nothing. And I had my midwife appointment that day at, I think it was 10:30. Then I went to her house and I won't, have my normal little checkup, check your blood pressure, whatever. And she's like, "How you feeling?" I was like, "Honestly, I think it might be sooner than later. I'm having some contractions, but nothing that are consistent. They're like, 6 minutes apart, 15 minutes apart, 2 minutes apart, 20 minutes apart." And I would talk to her and I'd get a contraction while I was in my appointment and I'd talk through it. It was no big deal. And she's like, "Yeah, you're probably going to have the baby maybe this weekend." So my appointment was on a Thursday. And I was like, "Okay." So, I waddle out of her house to go home, and it's like 11:30 at this point. And I go home, I go to my mom's. She's like, "Go home, eat a big lunch, take a nap, just go about your day." I'm like, "All right." So I go home, I have a huge bowl of spaghetti. And I'm like, "All right, Mom, I'm gonna go take a nap. Can you watch Addison for a little bit?" So I walk down the hall, and this is like probably noon at this point. And I get down the hall to her room to take a nap. And I was like, "Ooh, that one feels a little different." And so I lay down and I just could not get comfortable. And I'm starting to get a little like kind of cranky. So I was like, I want to go home. I want to be in my own house. So my mom drives me and my daughter Addison to our house. And she's like, "Well, I'm going to go run some errands." It's like, "All right." So she gets me inside and I start having like more contractions. And thank God for her, because I was ready to send her on her way. She's like, "I think I'm going to stick around." So I'm just kind of going about, and it's probably 12:30 at this point. And she's like, "I think you should call your husband. I think you need to call Nick and tell him you're in labor." I was like, "I'm not in labor. Maybe I'm having some contractions. If I am in labor, it's nothing." And I think, Melissa, when did I call you? Probably like 10:30. I was like, "I think I might be having some contractions. What should I do from a homeopathy perspective?" And she gave me 2 remedies. She's like, "Alternate these remedies. Take one at this hour and then an hour later, take another. Do that each remedy 4 times." So what would that have been? 8 hours. And then she gave me another remedy to take after those 8 hours were up. And it was just to kind of like keep momentum going, is what she said. So I think I got 2 doses of one and 1 dose of the other. And I was just like 12:30. We call Nick. I'm like, "I think you should come home. I think I might be in labor." It's like 10 till 1. I call the midwife and I'm like, "I think I'm in labor. I think you should come at least just to kind of evaluate." She's like, "Okay." So my husband gets home at 1. I'm like, "Fill up the pool, but I told him to blow up the pool. Don't fill it up. We've got some time." So the midwife shows up at 1:20. Nick is starting to fill up the pool because contractions are starting to kind of kick in. And in hindsight, I realized when I was in transition, but in the moment, I didn't think I was, because none of it was painful. I was in no pain. Things were intense and I had to like stop, but it wasn't like my first, for sure, where I was like screaming bloody murder. I had her naturally too. I just didn't do it with homeopathy or any kind of preparation. Um, it was just an intense feeling, but not painful. I don't know if that makes sense. But so I'm just kind of like, and I realized in hindsight when I was in transition, because my mom was like, "What can I do for you?" And my response was, "Stop asking me such dumb bleeping questions." So I think that might have been it.
Everybody else probably knew. They were like, "Oh, it's happening now."
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, not so much. Everybody else, they were like, "Okay, she's having a baby." So the midwife gets here at like 1:20 and she comes in and I was like, "I'm sorry I called you so early. I don't know. This is probably very early labor." Groan, moan, "Oh." And she's like, "I think you're in labor." And I said, "Well, will you just check me so I can wrap my head around kind of what's happening?" So she said, "Sure." So she checks me. I get off the bed and I was like, "What am I, like 2 centimeters?" She said, "Oh, no, sweetie, you're 10 centimeters and you can push whenever you want." And I got in the tub. We had like blew up a little birth pool in my bedroom. It was 1:30 in the afternoon. I did not have my twinkle lights or my affirmations or my music, nothing. The pool wasn't even all the way filled up. And I get in the pool, I push once and I can feel her like descend. I push another time, her head's halfway out. And then the next contraction, I pushed her out, literally start to finish in maybe 4 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Midwife
Did,
got there at 1:20. I had her at 1:55.
did she check you when you were at your appointment that morning or no?
No, so that's kind of what I loved. I know
Yeah.
this isn't a home birth thing, but like I'm team home birth, strong team home birth. I never got checked once for anything. Like she would ask me how I'm feeling, and if I had symptoms of something, then for sure. But honestly, like my pregnancy was a dream. I never had a symptom that was questionable. I mean, my little pee sticks that you would do. And, she helped me like kind of take autonomy of it. I owned it. I did the pee stick myself. I read the results myself. She let my daughter take my blood pressure every time. Addison, a 3-year-old, was pumping the blood pressure. So I never got checked. Even in my 6-week visit, she should check me. She's like, "How you feeling?" I'm like, "Normal." She's like, "All right, see ya."
Yeah. Where do you live?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, you are in Charlotte. Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
there is a good home birth scene there.
Very underground, but yes,
Yeah.
very good.
Oh yeah, you gotta like, yeah, it is. But it's wonderful.
It is. And there's a good community, and the support that I got after I had Lillian from Melissa with the remedy, she came in strong because I did have a little bit of blood pressure spike at the end. Nothing that was alarming to anyone but my postpartum body and mind. And Melissa was great with remedies, and I bounced back very quickly. The midwife came. I mean, they stayed for several hours after, cleaned up, brought me homemade chicken noodle soup.
Wow.
Like it came back 24 hours later, then 48 hours after that, then a week after that, and then every week for 6 weeks. So I got a lot of support. It was just it was very different. It was healing in a lot of ways from, my first, and healing in ways I didn't know I needed healing. It was great. It was perfect. I want to tell everyone I see and show everyone I see my home birth video, and I recognize that that's inappropriate.
I'm like, do you want to watch it? Here, you can watch a video. They're like, I don't think it's
Well,
OBGYN
well,
and like, how's the baby? And I was like, good, I had a home birth. Do you want to hear about it? He's like, no.
I haven't seen it. You have to send it to me. I want to see that.
I love it. It's raw and very out there.
Yeah. I would love that too.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. So you were a client of mine before you got pregnant.
Mhm.
Isn't that right? Okay. And then you got pregnant shortly after
Quickly, yeah. I
we
reached
started
out.
working together.
I'd had back surgery a year before I got pregnant, and I was really concerned about, because I carry babies big, and I have 8.5 pound 20-inch babies, so I was concerned. I had had back surgery. How was that going to go? So I reached out to you because I was like, A, my back needs to be strong, and 2, I really want to go into this pregnancy, you know with the tools to have a great pregnancy, an easy conception, and a good smooth delivery. So we started working
Okay.
together, and I think 2 months, maybe 2 or 3 months max. I think it was 2 months I got pregnant. So
Yeah.
I worked throughout my entire pregnancy.
Yeah, so your family's on the family plan. So we were already working together. And then when I found out you were pregnant, we, in your regular consult, like your regular follow-up, we talked about what symptoms you were having. And so we addressed those in your chronic care plan. And then we did a labor and delivery plan closer, like 35 weeks or so, just so you'd be ready.
Yeah, I was right at 36. We talked about my first labor and delivery, how it went, concerns I might have had, and then you had made a customized plan based on like my previous. And then there was a few things that I wanted to have on hand because I was doing a home birth just in case, of an emergency. And you added that to the plan.
Perfect. So were you prepared? I mean, did you have all the remedies you needed?
I did. I had that Helios childbirth kit too,
I love it.
which
I love it.
it was perfect. It literally everything you put out in my care plan for the pregnancy was already in that kit. So I didn't have to buy anything. And there was probably like 15 remedies you didn't put in the plan in case, I needed them. So I felt very prepared. And I printed it out because you wrote exactly what to do and how to do it. So I printed it out and I had that in my home birth like laundry basket of things.
Wonderful. I love it. And so thank you so much for that. I just thank you for sharing that story. I love the difference, the huge contrast. Now, no, we're not saying it was all homeopathy because there was also the home birth piece that made everything very much different. But you had already been using homeopathy before you'd been on chronic care plans with me before you got pregnant. So that, and your husband, because y'all are on the family plan. So you both were all, before you conceived, you were already on remedies. And so your body was getting healthier. And that's just, if I could say to any couple or family that are trying to get pregnant, get the mom and the dad as healthy as possible before you conceive. And has the baby had any trouble, any issues?
I don't know if this is the homeopathy, if it's the home birth, or it's probably just a mix of all. But my first was colicky. I mean, it was a nightmare for the first 6 months. This baby, I think I heard her cry for the first time last night, and Nick and I were like, what do we do? She's the calmest, chillest, happiest, strongest, most alert. I mean, she's almost 11 weeks, and she's already like doing like the crunches to like sit up by herself. She can follow everything. She's bright-eyed. She is just like, everybody comments like, God, she's so alert. She's so like awake.
Did you
Love
do
it.
any remedies for her after the birth?
So I didn't, not right after. She is on one little remedy. So I added her to the family plan. She is on a remedy right now, just literally for like spit up. Like nothing, which is working like a dream too. I mean, she's asleep right here. Very calm, and I would have given her a remedy after she was born, like had she needed it. But honestly, she came out so easy and gently and peacefully. Even the midwife was like, I've never seen, she has like a C-section baby's head. It was just like, it was perfect. It wasn't coned, nothing.
I love it.
What
Yeah,
about your postpartum healing and like milk supply and what are differences? And I don't know how much in detail you want to share, but like tearing is not even, or your healing, bleeding.
yeah. So I had literally like zero bleeding. The midwife was like, I'm not sure if I've ever seen such little bleeding. um, and in hindsight, she said she thinks that Lillian was closer to like almost over 42 weeks. Just like with how quickly she was breathing, how big she was. There was some meconium, nothing that was like alarmist, but she was like, I think this baby's older than 41 weeks. With Addison, I had a 3rd-degree tear. With Lillian, not even nary a mark. Like totally.
So how big was Addison?
Addison was 8 pounds 3 ounces, 20 inches, and Lillian was 8 pounds 4 ounces, 20 inches.
Okay, so the same size babies.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. And I had
and you were doing those pregnancy cell salts throughout, which should have strengthened
Elasticity and
and the elasticity. Amazing.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Did you have, yeah, I know, sorry, I have another piggybacking on that. Did you get stitches? Were you, I'm assuming it was that bad. So there was scar tissue there as well.
There was some scar tissue, and it's interesting that you brought that up. I had scar tissue, and then it was kind of, I don't want to say it was gone, but when I did, like, I worked with a pelvic floor PT, and she's like, you have scar tissue. It's not bad, but you definitely have it. But as my pregnancy progressed, I was working with another PT, and every time they would check me there, I was like, ooh, what about that scar tissue? And he was like, you have no scar tissue. It is not there. So honestly, only thing that I attribute that to would be the homeopathy. I did nothing to make that scar tissue go away other than the cell salt.
So then, okay, what about like your milk supply? Did you notice any changes in that or your emotional state?
Both, yes. So my emotional state with Addison was a hot mess. When we went for my 6-week checkup, my mom went with me, and I remember vividly leaving, and she said, you have 1 week to lock this up or we're putting you on meds. And with Lillian, I think I might have cried like twice, and it was over how much I love her. Like nothing crazy. I felt, and I will say I did things differently. I hired a postpartum doula. I did not get out of bed for 10 days. And then I moved to the couch for a week after that. I very much supported my body in that way. I rested. This baby and I stayed skin to skin in my bed for almost 2 full weeks. So I do think that played a role in that also. But emotionally, I felt great. I felt very put together. I did not have any, like, I mean, I had like a couple times where I cried, but it wasn't like a feeling very overwhelmed. It was literally like my 3-year-old, I just need a little space. And oh, now I feel bad because I love you so much. Don't give me any space. Those were the times I cried. And as far as my milk supply, my milk came in on the 2nd day. With Addison, I had to supplement. So I nursed her until she was 2, but I always supplemented. With Lillian, she's already 3 pounds heavier than Addison was at this age. And I'm not supplementing, I'm just nursing. So my milk came in 2 days in, and it came in. I got mastitis. It came in so fast and so aggressively. And we were still figuring nursing out. But honestly, she's a rock star nurser. And Melissa gave me some remedies for mastitis, and I haven't gotten it since. So, and it cleared it up in 24 hours.
Right. Were you having some recurrent mastitis? Did it keep coming back? And so then
10 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we did a remedy to uproot that tendency to get mastitis, and you stayed on that for quite a while. And then I believe you stopped that remedy now.
Stop. So I stayed on weeks. And then our last little checkup, you and me, I haven't gotten it since, and I feel great. So we stopped it, and I haven't gotten it again, nor do I feel it. I could always kind of feel it like brewing. And I haven't felt it at all. And it cleared up. I mean, it was gone in 24 hours, and then I got it again, and it was gone in 24 hours. But I was like, I have a toddler at home. I can't be out for the count, which I don't know if you guys have ever had mastitis, but it knocks you out.
It's so terrible.
It's the worst thing ever. It was worse. I remember like saying to Nick, I'm like, this is worse than having the baby.
And it feels like the flu. I mean, mine did. Like
I
could not get up. But and homeopathy worked within 24 hours, but it still is a miserable 24 hours, going through that. But I mean, I know people who suffer through that for weeks sometimes.
Friend of mine, she had it for a full 7 days, and then I happened to talk to her, and she's like, I have mastitis and the flu. I was like, you have mastitis, which makes you feel like the flu. Yeah. And I told her some remedies to take, and she dutifully took those remedies, and it cleared it up. And it took a little longer. She had like full blown, raging mess. I'm surprised she didn't get on antibiotics because she didn't know anything about homeopathy. But she now calls me, and she's like, so this is going on. Like, is there a remedy for that?
Yeah, I love it.
it up so
Mhm.
well and fast for her, and she felt so much better. But yeah, so I took remedies for mastitis and we uprooted it, I hope. I mean, I haven't gotten it since. Um,
I
so
really do think the trick, and I mean, I think you would agree here, Melissa, is getting started prior to pregnancy
Yeah.
because there's just such a bigger, at least from what I've seen, which hasn't been a ton of people. So I mean, I'll put that out there. But my last pregnancy, I did the cell salts for the first time instead of a prenatal. I didn't even take a prenatal.
I didn't either.
Yeah, and that was the first time I really felt comfortable doing that. And that was even night and day.
Hmm.
It was just so different, and I started prior to pregnancy. I'd been using homeopathy already.
Yeah.
So it makes such a big difference. That's so fun.
Yeah, I loved it. I honestly like, and Addison, she's a strong, healthy child, but even I already see like the colic in Addison and the calmness in Lillian, and just the tendencies Addison had to like get really worked up and things would bother her quickly. And this one, like, I knocked her head the other day, and she was like, meh, and that was that. It was just so even.
Yeah.
Um, her personality plays a role, but I'm
Right.
not that either as her dad, so
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with homeopathy.
I love it. What a great story. So yeah, I guess we did a follow-up, and Bree, she was telling me all of this that she just told me, a lot of it. Well, I mean, I knew a lot of it, but then she was just telling me how amazing everything was. And I was like, man, you gotta come share your story because it can be so encouraging to other women. Even if you're already pregnant right now, you can still start on the pregnancy cell salts, and you can still do a pregnancy plan with me, and then a labor and delivery plan. It's not too late, but man, if you're not pregnant yet and you're planning to get pregnant, just using homeopathy to address your whole person, your body, your health, whatever's happening in your body. It's not that you need to take a certain remedy because you're planning to get pregnant. It's what's happening in your body. Let's address your person, and then you are the healthiest that you can be, or you are healthier at least before you get pregnant, and that makes a huge difference. And then um if your husband is on remedies too, that makes it even more. I mean, when before you conceive, when you're if you're both using remedies and you're getting healthier, I mean, diet plays a role, lifestyle, stress, all the things, sleep. But yeah, all that matters, and it makes such a big difference. And so I'm so glad that you came, and I know this is encouraging to someone right now, at least one person, but probably a lot of people. So thanks for sharing all of that.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like you said about the husband too, I feel like it's all put on the woman, but he plays a 50% role in it. I learned the other day that the placenta is from the sperm. The sperm literally gives what needs the placenta to grow. And I didn't know that. And that's what sustains your baby for the whole time they're in there. So like it does matter.
And
Uh,
when you think about anatomy, I mean biology too, men create like sperm are recreated new ones all the time.
mhm,
And so the health of those are directly dependent on his health at the time. And
mhm,
I mean, it's just wild. You can also take homeopathy when you're pregnant, when you're nursing, where I mean, I have several friends now who don't use homeopathy who are suffering through like their whole families are super sick and they can't hardly take any over the counter meds because they're
right.
breastfeeding or they're pregnant
Right.
and you can take it all.
Right. I didn't get sick one time. No, that's not true. I had strep throat while I was pregnant, and I didn't do any antibiotics. And, God forbid, my daughter and I both had strep at the same time. And honestly, it wasn't that bad. Like, we got through it pretty quickly. We just did remedies for it. And I think it took like 3 to 5 days and we were back
Right.
at it.
And don't
We're
you think in your experience, I feel like when I use it, I come out the other side like better. And I feel like before, it's been so long now, it's kind of hard to remember, but I remember noticing early on. that I didn't like slowly come out of the sickness haze.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
like I got better and I felt better.
Better.
But it
Like,
wasn't
yeah, there is
recovered
like
for, like, a week.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't, aside from the strep throat, which, didn't love, but it wasn't, it wasn't the end
You
of the
used it
world.
pregnant, which is amazing. You could use that.
Right. And I didn't, other than that, I did not get sick at all. I am like strong team cell salt because I feel like everyone around me was crashing. And I'm like, not me. I felt good. I felt healthy, strong. I felt alert. I felt calm. I don't know. And I mean, that's literally the only thing was that I
That's
did different. So,
Can you
yeah.
imagine though, if you had not been knowledgeable of homeopathy or used remedies, then you would have gotten an antibiotic and then that would have affected her.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah. And in fact, I went to like the Minute Clinic or something just because I wanted to know if I had it. I had thought maybe, but I felt like a diagnosis would help me at least stay away from other people. And she was like, "Oh, you definitely need to take this antibiotic." I was like, "Well, I'm 7 months pregnant. Is that okay?" And she's like, "I'm not sure. Let me Google it." I'm like, oh, that didn't really instill a whole lot of confidence. I mean, I didn't fill the prescription, obviously, but still, I was like, I don't really want to take something that the doctor has to Google. So
I
I
can't, my mouth, I can't.
right, yeah.
Like,
So I didn't acute
go
with you.
go back,
Uh,
go into your office and Google it. Don't tell me you're
right.
Googling
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Don't do that right in front of me. Just be like, I'm gonna go double check.
right,
And
I'm
I'm
gonna go
nervous
look in my
checking
car.
the train, right?
right. Yeah, she just right in front of me, just Googled it. And she's like, "It says it should be fine." I'm like, okay.
Well,
I've taken that, and then you never. So I didn't, luckily, and I kicked it. In a few days, it wasn't terrible, but still. And now her gut's
Yeah.
better for it. I mean, Addison had, and I didn't ever take antibiotics while I was pregnant with Addison, but it was just little things. Like Addison had cradle cap for months. It was terrible. And I keep checking Lillian's head. I'm like, nope, no sign of cradle cap. Like, no dry skin, no nothing. Like she just looks
Yeah.
perfect.
Because
Uh,
you and dad were healthier when you conceived than you were the
yeah,
first time. So
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And it's not
So
like we weren't healthy the first time. Literally, we ate the same diet. Honestly, the only thing I think really did differently was adding, we worked with, you a homeopath, added remedies, balanced our system, and then stayed balanced throughout with
mhm.
the homeopathy. So
so good. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this, encouraging women and men, encourage the whole family. So
yeah, I'll talk
um
about this all
yeah,
day.
Same. We have
I
to like
love it.
try to keep our podcast short, or we start talking forever.
So yeah, well, thanks for being here. And you guys, you know what, just we are still planning to teach a pregnancy, labor, and delivery course. And I have a menopause course that I'm working on and a skin course that I'm working on. And then there's all the other courses that we've done. So if you're interested in learning homeopathy, go to melissacrenshaw.com, click on the courses tab and see all that we have to offer, or come do a live class with us. That's how Alexandra found us, was through a live class. Her and her mom did it together, which is fun, and then they support each other now, and they talk about the things, and they share remedies, and they help each other out. And so come take a class, learn how to do this, get healthy before you get pregnant if you can. But if you're already pregnant, I do a pregnancy, labor, and delivery plan, so you can come and check that out. And thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.